Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we'll be taking a look at the MSM-03 Gogg from the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Now this is a kit from the year 2000, which means it's 20 years old, so well, I guess we'll be taking a look at how well this holds up. Anyway, without further ado, let's start off the review as usual by taking a look at the articulation. Alright, starting off with the Gogg's head. It can move actually a little bit side to side. Technically it's a little bit up and down since it is attached by a ball joint, but yeah, you're going to get a little bit of rotation side to side and that's it. Also on mine, the ball joint was really loose. Like it wouldn't come off, but it was a bobblehead. So I just stuck a little bit of masking tape in there, so now it's fine. Pretty easy fix. Anyway, moving on to the arms. The shoulder armor is actually a separate piece, which is able to move independently of the arm, which is all ball joints all the way down. The shoulder is ball jointed. This is a ball joint. This is a ball joint. Yeah, and then there's a hinge at the hand, which is attached, as you can see by the gray in there, by a poly cap. And then all of the digits are also individually articulated with ball joints. So the hand can mostly close. Don't really know why this is happening on mine, but for some reason the hand doesn't really like the thumb. But anyway, the arm does get a full rotation. It can only go out to about here. And the ball joints get about that much of an arc either way. So you can get the arm across the chest, which is pretty impressive actually. But just because it's all ball joints, you're not going to get like crazy bends. Anyway, there's nothing on the back, but the waist is a swivel, and because of the polycap in it, it does have a crunch, which surprised me. Honestly, I wasn't expecting even this much articulation. And honestly, if you just pull it up a little bit, you can actually get a full rotation, though it does obviously expose some gaps. But I mean, if you really wanted to get this kind of pose, you can pull it off. The legs, I mean, it's pretty standard for the time it's on a ball joint, though given how bulky it is, it doesn't really matter. You can get up 45 degrees to the front, not really anything to the back. Now what surprised me is that the knee is actually double jointed, but this top joint doesn't really get much. It's mostly the second joint, and that gets let's say 90 degrees, but just because of how bulky the leg is, it doesn't actually make a difference. And the ankle is ball jointed, and I mean, not insane range there, but I'm surprised by how far to the front it can go. Also, the ball joints, if I can, I didn't intend for that to happen, but yeah, let's do it that way. It's actually a offset ball joint on the foot going into a socket in the leg, which is very different. But it actually ends up working fairly well. So I mean, you're not going to get crazy poses out of this, but it didn't exactly do any crazy poses in the show anyway. It can pull off pretty much anything you would want a Gogg to. Now, moving on to accessories, and this is it. It's a Gogg, it doesn't exactly have weapons. So instead I'll bring him back in, and we'll go over color correction. Because surprisingly, this isn't actually that bad. Now you'll notice the big black sticker here. That's because the piece making up the inner eye is, here we go. Yeah, you can see the tape. Tan plastic. Now they have dark gray, and this is a lot less greenish in person. My camera's doing some weird stuff to it, but they decided to go with tan. So obviously I painted that, because there's no way I'm using a sticker that ugly. There we go. Got that back on. Also the ears, let's say, and also this circle on the top of the head have to be painted in black. You may want to paint some dark gray or black inside of here. I did, but honestly, it's not a huge difference. These should probably be dark gray, but I kind of like the light gray because it matches the backpack more. These little spots in here I did in silver, though gray or white also work. You're probably going to want to use a Gundam marker to add a little bit of black in around the red too. And the thrusters in the waist, let's say, are supposed to be red, so they need to be corrected. Now moving on to the important color correction, the legs. As you can see by a small bit of paint that's been chipped off there, these knee joints are the same light gray as the backpack. And as for the ankles, well, as you saw, they're the same piece as the lower leg. In a modern kit, those would have been the right color, but from 2000, you're going to have to paint them. And all these other smaller details, you can get away with, but this being tan and that being light gray, it doesn't look right. So you're going to have to do some color correction on this if you want it looking good. And as for seam lines, thankfully not really that many. You get a little bit of one in the upper chest, but here on the hips, these ones are actually hidden as panel lines. Honestly, the only one that's really noticeable is here on the leg. And if they did this kit today, this tan piece would have definitely been one mold that slides over a inner frame, like they did with the Act guy, but it's not too big a deal. And honestly, it's not even that noticeable. Also, you can actually get this off. It's going to be easier that way. Come on. I'll just jump cut. Okay, I guess I won't be taking that off because it just popped off the ball joint. That's fine. Anyway, the point is, you can actually just take the section arm off. Then there's actually a peg in here, which you can just peg this on and fold it in. Maybe you're supposed to fold it in more than that. The point is, you can actually have the Gogg in its sort of swimming mode with the retracted arms. It's an option. I don't really want to do it, and it doesn't look amazing, so I mean, it does the job. It's just I don't really like how it looks. Now on to a quick size comparison, and this guy is actually pretty short. A bit shorter than the Arc 78. I think that's to scale. I mean, to be fair, it's about twice as wide, so the overall bulk is larger, but it's shorter than I expected it to be. Anyway, to wrap this review up, this kit definitely shows its age a bit, but I kind of like it. I was surprised, honestly, by how much range it has in its articulation, and the color separation was pretty good, honestly. I mean, a couple smaller details, not a big deal. They do give you a color correcting sticker for the eye, even if I don't like it. The only real problem is that the dark gray on the legs is missing, which, not having the joints in the right color, it's kind of annoying, but even then, it's a 2000 kit, you know, it's not, you're not going to get crazy color separation anyway. But I am surprised by how well it hides all of its seams. I mean, aside from the front of the legs, you can barely tell this thing is a kit. And given that it's fairly cheap, I can recommend picking this up if you're a fan of the Gogg. But anyway, that's it for this review. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Helps with the algorithm. Subscribe for future reviews and watch my backlog. And as always, until next time, happy building.